The situation is extremely tense. The world is at stake as two of the biggest nations on Earth exchange blows. You are witnessing the Indo-China war of 21st century. Hey, welcome back guys. With the situation after the Galwan Valley strike still being tense, there's a slight possibility of an Indo-China conflict. But before starting with the video, I have to make one thing very clear. None of us want something this devastating to happen. However, what's wrong with speculating? And today, in this video, we are gonna do exactly that. We are gonna discuss what would happen if two of the most populous nations on Earth got into a war. So without further ado, let's get started. I have divided the whole analysis into 5 portions: soldiers, armory, nuclear attack, economic separation, and foreign interference. But before starting with the main analysis, let's take a peek into history of the Sino-Indian rivalry. The Indo-China War of 1962 saw China as the winner and India lost the much popular Oxyachin region. The Oxyachin Plateau was claimed by India as a part of Ladakh territory, but China claimed it as a part of Xinjiang province. The war started with the construction of a strategically important road by China in the disputed region. Leaked FBI reports say that India underestimated the aggression of the Chinese and even its military superiority. Some even state that the war was a consequence of the Tibet uprising when India granted asylum to the Dalai Lama. During the Sino-Indian War, India asked the US and UK for help in the form of advanced aircraft, but their refusal forced New Delhi to turn towards Moscow. But nothing really helped much as India still lost the war. However, nearly half a century has passed and things changed a lot. Failure is one of the best teachers, and with this saying in mind, we are gonna dive into the main video. Soldiers. India has been engaged in frequent conflicts since the Sino-Indian War, giving the combatants an invaluable battlefield experience. However, China has fought its last considerable war against the Vietnamese forces in 1979, and that too losing against the notoriously strong Vietnam, who even resisted the USA. And this is why it is said that battlefield experience is a game-changing trait. Much like the previous Sino-Indian War, China has still got a numerical superiority over India. With over 1.5 million active personnel and 560,000 reserve personnel, China has the numerical superiority over any other nation practically. However, unlike the previous Sino-Indian conflict, India isn't all that far behind. The Indian Army has got 12,37,117 active personnel and a reserve storage of 960,000. India's army personnel stands out at 1,444,500, putting the difference between them in a mere 100,000. But there's a big twist. The numbers of India considers only the Indian Army, which is second only to the PLA in case of numbers. However, the overall Indian Armed Forces comprises of the Navy and the aircraft. With an astonishing 2.1 million total soldiers, the Indian Armed Forces now dwarfs the Chinese PLA. The Indian Navy boasts 67,252 active personnel and a reserve of 55,000. The Indian Air Force has got 1,39,576 active warriors and 1,40,000 reserve personnel. In contrast to the Indian 3-point system, the PLA consists of 5 branches: the ground force, that is the army, the navy, the air force, the rocket force, and the strategic assault force. Oof, that's a lot of forces. I wonder what they do with so many branches. Anyways, the only 2 unique ones are rocket force and the strategic assault force. The People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, also known as PLAR, is concerned about ballistic missiles and nuclear warheads and other long-range weapon systems. Finally, we have the Strategic Assault Force. Now this is really a new branch created just in 2005, and hence not much details is available. It deals with cyber attacks, hacking opponent systems, stealing data in order to get an edge. Overall, very sophisticated modes of warfare. Based on the information, it can be stated that there's not much significant difference when it comes to numbers between India and China. Now, as quantity is done with, let's take a look at quality. Hopefully, India has invested a lot in the soldiers' training and mindset. Indian soldiers are known to be some of the toughest in the world, with the honor of qualifying one of the hardest recruitment tests. The Indian soldiers have trained jointly with the UK, US, Australia and Japan under the UNDP and Quad. However, things aren't that good for the Chinese when it comes to quality. Just like China-made products, the Chinese army training has been criticized by many for lacking practical approaches. Moreover, the Chinese does not have the invaluable battlefield experience which India has got. But things change, and a recent report from Global Times, the mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party, has suggested that they are going to make heavy investments in the upbringing of a soldier. This means that they would probably require 5 years or even less than that to match the Indian capabilities. But for now, India still takes the win. Now let's move on to weapons or armory. Just like any other army, the Indian soldiers boasts a variety of guns, but significant portions are occupied by the American SIG Saucer 716 and the Indo-Russian AK-47-202, a modernized version of the famously reliable and hardy AK-47. As of 2018, Indian soldiers are fitted with SMPP ballistic armor, even capable of withstanding blasts of steel core rounds fired from the AK-47. Things are probably not that good for the Chinese side. Though they are formidable in rifles department with the QBZ-951, but their armor aren't all that good. Despite being the global exporter of military armor, China hasn't really fitted their own soldiers with the same level of quality. While China is generally packing much more hardware than India, one exception is in the case of tanks. India stands first with 4200 tanks and China's a mere 3200, nearly a difference of 1000 tanks. However, this isn't true in other cases. China has a staggering 33,000 armored ground vehicles, dwarfing India's 8,600, giving them a considerable ground superiority. Don't you think you should take a break and subscribe to my channel? After all, we are dealing with a lot of numbers. Done? Fine, let's move on. From the ground, we go and catch Wright brothers' flight and fly high into the sky. Haha, the Air Force. Even the air is dominated by China with over 3,200 aircrafts compared to India's 2123. The Dragon also has approximately double the fighter interceptor jets and around 507 workable airports, a lot more than India's 346. Once again, sadly for India, this trend continues even in the country's navies. In terms of total naval assets, China outnumbers India by 777 to 285. To be specific, China has got 74 submarines while India has only 1. Really, China has got 74 and India 1, a difference of 73 submarines. New Delhi has got 11 destroyers and China 36, again a staggering difference. After weapons category, China has got 1 point and India 1. So the match seems like equal, but we all know in modern day warfare technology is much more important than soldiers, so we can safely assume that if a conflict between China and India happens, China is going to win. But as I said, twists are always there. Now let's blast some cars. Well, obviously none of us wants something this bad to happen, that we will get to see a nuclear attack. But then again, what's wrong with speculation? In this channel we take everything to the extreme point. Let's start. So India has got about 150 nukes, which grew by a mere 10 last year, and China has got about 320 nukes, which grew by 40 last year. Thankfully for us, both the nations have a no first strike policy. Now I don't really like to talk about nukes, so let's shift a bit to diplomacy. Till now it's fairly obvious that China is going to win, but then again, twists are always there. Foreign interference. This is where things really start to change. In modern day war, there is actually a game of allies and enemies, and luckily for India, they have got a strong network of allies. The US, UK, Japan and even Australia are very good allies of India. On the other hand, China really lacks these good friends. Now there's a unique player. Yes, I'm talking about Russia. For a very long time, Russia has been a very good friend of India, but time has changed. Throughout the 21st century, Russia has deepened its relations with the Chinese Communist Party. And it's actually unsurprising because Moscow was facing immense economic pressure from the West due to sanctions and bans. Hence, it needed China for a support. However, we must not forget that Moscow still has a considerable amount of trade with India too. Thus, it would probably stay neutral. And if it involves and gets its hands dirty, then obviously with the Chinese side. So, we can clearly state that India has an easy win in foreign relations. Let's move on to the last part and the real game changer. And that's trade, or as I have divided, economic attacks. All the power of a nation comes from its economy, and this is where China is going to get a huge setback. 90% of China's trade passes through the Indian Ocean, which is under India's grip, and it would be extremely difficult for China to send its navy all the way from mainland China to the Indian Ocean. Thus, the game changes totally, handing the win over to India as China struggles to save its economic backbone from the Indian Navy. So this is it for today. If you liked the video, please press the thumbs up button and do make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll be back soon with another video. For now, bye.
Make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do, cause I'm feeling so good.